editor in MATLAB. Now the formula, the basic formula for our function is output, the name of the function, and input. But first we always have to have function written here. Lowercase, not all caps, not a capital F, lowercase. So let's say, for example, we have to write a function called myApp.
Chapman, and I'm dealing with vectors. Okay, so there are different ways that you can begin writing a vector. So I just wanted to show you all some. The first way, if you can see, is I wrote a vector that had 4 different inputs inside of it, and what I did was I put a comma between each, and notice that I have the brackets out here on the outside. So you have to have your brackets, and then you can have almost anything on the inside. But to kind of separate them, what you have to do is put commas here. Now you can use that, or you really don't have to put commas there. I shouldn't have said that. You can also have spaces to kind of divide the things that are inside of your variables. Inside of your vectors, excuse me. And the reason why I put A equals is I was just assigning a variable this certain vector, and I did the same thing here. The other way that I wanted to show you to write, to begin writing the vector is that I have a different variable here, B, and what you do is write B equals, B can be anything, it can be any variable now. What you have is your start. Well, first you write your parentheses. This is what I always do. I write my parentheses first, then you write start. Here's your first colon, your step that you want to go by inside your vector, and then where you want your vector to end. And this is called the colon operator. So that's another way also to begin writing your vectors. And so let's say if you wanted to get the length of any vector, basically how long that vector is, or how many inputs are inside of that vector. So what you do is you use the function that's already inside of MATLAB. It's a built-in function that it has, and it's called length. And whenever you write out, all you do is write LENGTH parentheses, and then on the inside you put your vector. Now your vector can also be a variable that has already been assigned that vector. But what I did so that you all could see was have my brackets here, and then I used the colon operator, and I just put my start and my end. I didn't have to put my steps because MATLAB already takes your step by 1. So this function, this variable really has only 4 inputs on the side of that. And so what you would do is you would get out 4 if you were to put this inside of your command window. The other thing that I wanted to show is something that's called indexing with your vectors. And let's say that if I wanted to take some element, if I wanted to get some element outside from my vector. Let's say if I had a vector that was of length 4, and I wanted to get the first element of that vector, or the first thing that's inside of that vector. And if you look at this one right here, let's say if I wanted to get this first element, or this first index. Well, all I do is put in 1, and this vector is called A now. So I put A parentheses 1, and so that gives me my first. It just so happens that these two are the same. So what I would get out is it would be A of 1 equals 1. The next thing is that if you want to assign an element a different number or a different thing inside your vector, what you can also do is type in your command window A of 1 or A of index 1 equals 40. And that's the other thing. And so now this wouldn't be 1 anymore. It would now be 40. Okay, the other thing is that you can also divide, multiply, divide, and raise your vectors to a power or to another vector as well. And so you do that by putting a period there to show that you're doing it element by element. Element by element. So you would put, let's say, period, and then you have your asterisk up here, which denotes multiplication, and that would be for multiplication. And then you can have this period, raised to the power of something that's here, and then you can have period with the slash symbol, which denotes division.
Okay, let's jump into loops now.
Alright, so we're going to talk about loops. The reason why we use loops is because we're going to be checking for certain conditions. So under certain conditions, you're going to be using a loop in your code. So right here, we have the if statement. We can make a while. We can make a for loop, and we can also do a switch statement. The first thing that I'm going to do for you is the if statement. So this first line says if A equals 1. So based on this, if this is true or if this is false, we're going to do a certain thing. So if this line is true, we're going to execute the code that's before the else. So if this is true, execute this code, else do this code. And you're always going to put an end at the end of your loop. Now, if you want to check for multiple conditions in your if statement, you can actually do if if else. You can add as many if else's as you want, but if you add an if else, that means you also have to put an else statement. So if A equals 1, this operator equal means if this is equal, if this is true. If so, complete this. If not, else do this. If not, if this isn't true, do this. And then if none of these are true, go to the else and do this. And then you end your loop. Now we're going to talk about while. And by the way, if you're trying to make a decision with your code, you would use an if statement. And now we're going to go to while. So all these are conditions, pretty much logicals, true or false. So while A equals 1, do this code. And you're going to put an end at the end of your loop. So this is pretty straightforward. While this condition is true, do this. When it's not true, go past the end and continue executing your code. The next thing we're going to do is a for loop. Now, for a for loop, you have to pretty much iterate the variable that you set in your condition. So you can initialize the variable I, 1 through 5. So we're going to set I equals the vector 1 to 5. And it's going to basically go through this loop 5 times. So this is going to go through this loop 5 times. Each time through, I is going to increment. I is going to go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once it gets to 5, it's going to go past the loop, and it's going to continue executing the code.
Okay, I'm going to talk about binary number. So basically, what I'm trying to do now, I'm trying to convert ZE to a binary number. So basically, I looked up the ASCII2 table, and then I found that Z is number 122, and E is number 101. So, and then I convert base 10, 122 to base 2. Base 2. And then we get 11110110 for Z, and 11001101 for E. The whole concept between these, behind these, is actually the reason why a computer can understand like all your input in different locations, because each character was assigned a number, and all the number can convert into 1 and 0. That's why computer can understand our input. That's it. Thank you.